So today I'm going to talk about the matchups in this series in the finals. And firstly, I want to say that I'm not going to be forcing videos. I wanted to talk about these three topics, right? And obviously, I wanted to talk about the Dallas roster. I wanted to talk about the Mavs roster, especially, and the Celtics roster a little bit. And I did make videos on both of them, but I did also want to say that I wanted to talk about the differences, right? Of rosters, the matchups that they're gonna have, and the things that are gonna happen throughout this series. Now, as I said, I don't want to force videos, and I am not going to. As long as there is content for me to talk about, in 2 days it is the final. But if there's a day where I don't make a video, or there's a day where maybe I can't, like I just don't post, most likely it's because of the fact that I find nothing interesting. I'm going to post every day, and I know that. But I definitely know that there are some times during these finals and during these things where it's like forcing storylines is kind of washed, because you see during the regular season there are 30 teams competing. Right now there are two. And talking about those teams, it's kind of, sometimes harder. But let's talk about the matchups. First, I want to say in the point guard matchup, in the guard matchup in general, we have a just Dallas completely winning. Obviously, they're completely opposites because Boston's guards are meant to be complementary pieces to the wings, and for Dallas, it works the other way around. Their wings are complementary pieces to the guards. I do believe that there is a heavier focus on the guard as being a more important position, and in my opinion, the guard is more important than the wing. I do believe that the Boston's wings are gonna win them the series or gonna lose them the series. But if we're being honest, in a basketball game, in organized basketball, there's a heavier inclination towards the guard winning the game than there is for the wing. Obviously, there are exceptions like Larry Bird, LeBron, or KD. But even with a guy like KD, he had Steph when he won, and guards are normally the ones who are leading their things to championships, or at least people with guard-like skills. But I believe that this series is more predicated on the star power of the series than anything. Look, in terms of roster building, both of these teams have great rosters. Both of these teams have deep rosters. Both of these teams have rosters that you would give to a lot of other teams and they would be very content with. Now, the problem is that these rosters need to be managed in a certain way where the stars can shine. And that's for both of them, because both of these teams are very star power heavy teams. Dallas obviously has the big two of Luka and Kyrie, but apart from that, they have a bunch of high flyers. They have PJ Washington, and they have a bunch of guys who can just get it done in a variety of ways, right? And on the other end, for Boston, they literally have four stars: Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and in my opinion, Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, which are two, well, all defense and all star for Drew Holiday, all star slash all NBA for Porzingis. I feel like that's their peaks. And in my opinion, I think that because of how star heavy these teams are, it is going to take a heroic effort from both of them to win. And that heroic effort is going to come from their superstars. The superstars on these rosters, the superstars are Luka, Kyrie, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. And I think that in terms of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Luka, and Kyrie, they have an immense amount of pressure for this series. You do not just have to be great. You have to be phenomenal. And you have to be amazing at the same time. And the reason why is because if you don't allow yourself to be great, if you do not allow yourself to, take over games and win for your team, then as a superstar, you're failing your roster. for these games, the Celtics and Mavericks have their first game in June 6th. I do believe that the game is going to be interesting, but I think it's going to be more predicated on how the stars play and how do the teams, especially the young guys and the guys who are not that experienced, do when they do not have their guys around them being super supportive, and when there are guys on their team which are going to start lacking and are not going to be in the best condition to play all those games. And that is the reason why I think that the finals and the playoffs in general are so hard. Because when you have these types of situations, where you get to the finals and you have a bunch of young guys on your team, right? Because for the Celtics, even though they have a bunch of like vets on the team, they also have a good amount of young guys. Like their two stars are young guys, and let's not forget that. But when we speak on the fact that Dallas has Derek Lively as one of their main pieces, Daniel Gafford as one of their main pieces, and their biggest vet is Kyrie, then we need to be talking differently about this team. Also, the last time Kyrie made it to a final, he had LeBron. And LeBron is a freak of nature, and he's arguably the greatest player of all time. So when you're talking about LeBron, going from that to Luka, will Luka still play to the level that he's going to play in the finals? Will Jason Tatum play to the level that he will in the finals? Will Jaylen Brown play to the level that he's been playing in the finals? And these are the questions that we have to ask ourselves when it comes to these rosters. Look, it is not just about the roster itself and how they operate, how they maneuver. There's a lot of things which go into winning basketball games and winning series especially. And a big part of that is how is your team coaching it? How is the other roster responding? How are you making sure to win important tip-offs, important moments, important scenes? And when it comes to all of these things together, right, I do believe that there is a great deal of pressure going into this series. Obviously, it is not just because this is the finals. It is also because this is one of the most important finals that we've had in a while. This is a finals where we have two stars which do not have championships yet. We have teams which have not won championships in over 10 years, 12 years, or 13 years to be exact for Dallas, and for Boston since 2006, which is 16 years, I'm sorry. And for Dallas it's 13 years, for Boston it's 16 years. So when we speak on both of these teams, this is a legacy-defining final. It is the same thing as last year. Like whoever won last year, one of those stars was going to get heavily favored in history. It is just like what happened in 2021, where it didn't matter if Giannis or the Suns won, then one of those stars was going to get heavily favored in history. In finals, where it is two people or two stars that have never won, it is important to look at those finals with more importance because they are the ones which define legacies for people. The difference between winning a championship and not winning a championship is the difference between you being a top 30 player and you being a top 50 player. And I mean that in the most literal sense possible. So when it comes to basketball and when it comes to this finals, this is a very important finals. We have to pay attention. We have to be aware. We have to make sure that we're paying attention to the schemes and what is being ran by these teams, because whoever gets the championship cements themselves in history. The Celtics would get that 18th banner and they would seal history as being the most successful team of all time, once again defeating the Lakers once again, and being and ushering in the new era of Celtics basketball as a winning team, not as a team which has lost so consistently. For Luka and the Mavericks, this would mean a final triumph. After trying for so many years with Luka, it would mean that you finally got the championship that you were looking for, and that you could have and hold up this trophy with a confidence and an arrogance. And Kyrie getting his second ring without LeBron would prove that he's actual championship number 2, and because I'm sorry, a lot of people still doubt if Kyrie by himself with another team could win a ring. And for Dallas and for the Celtics, this is a very important ring. Both of them will get defined as history. And for their franchises alone, this could be a very life altering finals.